All right, Mr. Keith, back again. This is time to talk about the Boxer Rebellion. Now, this is an event that you may not have really heard of before because it's may feel somewhat random, but there's a lot of stuff going on here with the Boxer Rebellion that I want to make sure that I can adequately give you the background information. Because really, the Boxer Rebellion is far more than just about the actual rebellion. And it also doesn't really have a ton to do with people boxing. So, um, if you see the first bullet point, the background, um, in the late 1800s, the United States and early 1900s, the United States and other European powers like Great Britain and France and Germany had agreed upon an idea of spheres of influence being eliminated in China. And what that meant was prior to this time, whenever any of the world powers were trading in China, they'd each kind of had their own parts of China that they traded in. So Germany had their sphere of influence in China. The United States had their sphere of influence in China. Britain had their sphere of influence in China, and so on and so forth. And so you didn't get a whole lot of Americans leaving their sphere or Germans leaving their sphere, which was fine. There's a lot of people in China. But what these world powers started to discuss was, hey, if we could trade with all of China and got rid of these spheres of influence, that would be better for all of us. And so the open door policy, which was actually the brainchild of the United States, eliminated these spheres of influence. Well, once the spheres of influence were gone, then you had a massive increase in foreigners in China. Not only business interests went to China. I mean, there were a lot of people who went to China to trade, to buy and to sell goods. The labor market in China was really, really strong because there's so many people. So there was a lot of folks that did that. But one of the biggest foreign influences in China was Christian missionaries. And so there were a significant number of all denominations, Protestant, Catholics, etc. However, the Chinese, there was a movement within China, and these people called themselves the Boxers because they boxed to stay in shape. But the Boxers organized a rebellion against foreign presence in China. Unfortunately, this rebellion wasn't necessarily these Boxers trying to fight actual military personnel. It was oftentimes these Boxers orchestrating attacks on civilians, specifically Christian civilians and Christian missionaries who were in China. So during the Boxer Rebellion, you saw a significant number of innocent people slaughtered simply because they weren't Chinese. Now, the reason why this is so important in the scheme of American history is because, one, the United States got involved in a couple ways. One, we got involved in terms of eliminating the spheres of influence. Was that right? Should we have done that? Because, you can see some of the consequences. But you can also see some of the long-term effects. Obviously, our trade with China has been a pretty significant economic boost in the last 100 years. But also just the impact that it had on innocent American Christian missionaries. Was it worth it? That type of thing. So you're certainly welcome to look up more about the Boxer Rebellion. It is a pretty interesting event in the history of U.S. imperialism, as well as if you are somebody who enjoys studying the history of Christianity and its development on a worldwide stage. It's a pretty interesting rebellion and an interesting time in China as well. So if you have any questions over the Boxer Rebellion, as always, feel free to email me. Thank you.